In Washington, D.C., murdering and lying about people for political power is commonplace. Falsely accusing a Supreme Court nominee is considered particularly predictable. These lies are investigated by an elite squad known as the Supreme Court Unit. These are their stories. Gonk gonk!
Oh, Detective Stabler, thanks for showing up to this crime scene house. This is where all the rapes happened.
Well, gee, Detective Benson, it kind of looks like nothing happened here. Why is everything so clean and orderly?
Well, that's because the crime happened a long time ago.
What do you mean, like days ago or weeks ago?
No.
Well then, how long ago?
37 years.
Oh, get the hell out of here, Benson. Gonk gonk.
But Detective Stabler, we've got 47 minutes of airtime to fill plus commercials equaling 60 minutes.
I said gonk gonk. Dude, what the hell is going on with this story? Did you hear about this new lady? Oh, by the way, just really quick, Michael Avenatti had to shut down his Twitter page. Right? Michael Avenatti goes and finds this lady who says that she was gang raped by Brett Kavanaugh. All right? Now, put a pin in that. All right? Because this story gets awesome. She says she was gang raped. Right? Now, you would think like, oh, geez, that's horrific because now we have, two people saying that they've been raped by Kavanaugh. But this lady's story is a doozy. Name that movie, right? Groundhog Day. What's the next step? It's a doozy. Remember that needle-nosed Ned? Ned the Head? Ned Ryerson? By the way, that guy that played Ned Ryerson, he's actually a tremendously talented actor. He was the bad guy in Mississippi Burning. Right? He played a very convincing bad guy. But anyways, oh boy, I'm sorry, dude. I go down the rabbit hole quite a bit. So this lady tells a doozy. So she says she's been gang raped by Kavanaugh. Only there's a couple of problems with her story. And the first glaring thing that looks at you is the fact that she's no less than 3 years older and went to a different school that was 35 miles away. Right? Kavanaugh went to an all-boys Catholic school, which was, they had, that's, usually with those kind of schools, if they have an all-boys or an all-girls school, they're actually the same school, and a lot of times they're even on the same campus, but they're just, they keep the boys and the girls away from each other for good reason. You know what I mean? When you're 14, 15 years old, you know what I mean, and your body's going through all those changes, it's like, yeah, just let me not be distracted, as I'm trying to learn how to do math and, the construction of the English language and all that stuff. Let me not be thinking about, procreation, let's just say. So Kavanaugh goes to an all-boys school. And, that lady that says that, she went to the same high school as him and got raped. What's her name? The attorney from California. She went to the same school, but they were not together, right? This new lady that Avenatti comes up with, not only is she not a part of that school, she's not a part of the Catholic, private school, those kids, the usually rich kids, she's not a part of them. As a matter of fact, she goes to school 35 minutes away, right? So she is clearly not a part of the same social. If you want to contextualize that, think about when you were in high school and you had a rival high school, right? Remember Friday night football games? God, I miss that. Man, that was so much fun. I miss that. Remember that every 2 weeks? This is, I'm sure, going to show everybody how old I am, but when I was in high school, every other weekend, this time of year, every other weekend was the football game. And directly after the football game was the dance. Oh boy, that makes me sound old. I don't think they do that anymore. But you know what I mean? That was fun. That was looking forward to. And our rival high school, was in the same school district, right? A school that was 35 minutes away, that would be in a different, you know what I mean? That's 35 minutes by car is the other side of your city, right? Like there's nowhere, like you've got to live in a big ass city to be able to drive for 35 minutes and still be in the same city. That's how far away this lady's school was. And she was in college at the same time that Kavanaugh and the first alleged victim were in high school. She's 3 years older than them. And then her story, that's at this point, this is when the story gets awesome, right? She says, oh, I went to this party where they were drugging all the girls. They were putting drugs in the punch and alcohol in the punch. And I went to this party and I witnessed all these rapes. And it's like, oh, okay, that sounds horrible. Is there any, are there any witnesses, right? Because you're talking about a party where there's lots of people. Is there anybody, okay, right? You're talking about 50 kids maybe. Let's just say it's not even 50, right? Like when I was in school, if it was like a house party, I don't know, like on a crappy one would be like 10 people. You know what I mean? Like a small party would be like 10 people. 4 dudes, 6 girls. 5 dudes, 5 girls. Right? Whatever the numbers. 3 dudes, 7 girls. However it is that you want to mix it up. You mean to tell me that there was a party where this evil Kavanaugh and evil, the other guy, his actual last name is Judge. So Kavanaugh and Judge are poisoning the punch to get girls to pass out so that they can rape them. This sounds horrific. So is there a single other teenager that went to their parents, went to the police, anything, told their other friends about this rape? Not one. Not a single person. So I hate to be listen, I mean, I'm sure that sort of thing does happen. But in whose estimation, who's out there looking around thinking to themselves that, boy, you know what teenagers are really known for? You know what they're really best at? Keeping secrets. Right? It is not the exact opposite of what I just said, the truth. I tell you this statement. Teenagers are best known for their ability to keep their mouths shut, keep a secret, and to not gossip. What do you think of that statement? Is that the truth, or is literally the exact opposite of what I just said? Is that the truth? Right? But I digress. Because it gets even weirder. Right? She says that she attended that party, and then, upon the next invitation to this gang rape party, she RSVPs. So not only does she go to this rape party, but she gets invited back and attends it. You say, Pete, that's ridiculous. Who is going and witnessing rapes and then getting in as a female getting invited back to the rape party, because evidently she did not participate in the rapes from the first party. She gets invited back as if Kavanaugh and Judge are saying, hey, sorry we couldn't get around to raping you. We were busy with all the other rapes. Here is an invitation. Why don't you come on back, have some punch. We'll see if we can fit you in on the rape schedule. Right? But wait, there's more. Right? That's not exactly what she said. Exactly what she did say was 10 times, right? 10 times she attended these parties. That means 9 more times after the first one. This college girl, this girl in college, gets invited to a rape party. Okay, so the first one. The first time she attended this party, she gets an invitation to a high school house party. This college student. She goes to the said party where she witnesses a whole bunch of rapes and says nothing. Neither does anybody else. Neither does any of the other alleged men that were there, and none of the women talked about it with their other classmates, talked about it to their Catholic nun teachers or their priests or the cops or anybody. Then she goes home after witnessing this horrific, injustice. And at some point in the next, 2 years, she gets an invitation from the same people saying, hey, we want you to come on back to the rape party. And she goes and witnesses a whole bunch of rapes again. Because Kavanaugh and Judge are running an international rape cartel where they just have all the rapes. And she goes home after that second party where she witnesses a bunch of other rapes, which again, nobody says anything about. And at some point again in the future, she gets yet another invitation. I don't know, in the mail, because there was no email back then. She gets another invitation and she checks the yes, I will be attending. She sends it back into the mail, lets these people know, yes, I will be attending your awesome rape party. For the third time. And then this whole thing goes over, and I don't want to bore you guys to death, but think about that. She's saying 9 different times after the first party, right? Because she said 10 different parties, 10. Not 8 or 9, not 11 or 12, but exactly 10. And you guys know how I feel about even numbers. 10 times she goes to these rape parties. 10 times people are getting raped. 10 times, right? She gets an invitation to the party and accepts it. 10. Gonk, gonk. Right? Gonk, gonk. Sorry, people. I've got a 45-minute podcast to fill, but that's the end of that story. No more podcast today. Gonk, gonk. Gonk, gonk. What a load of horse shit this is. You know what I mean? There's all these people virtue signaling. It's like, okay, so wait a minute. You don't see anything wrong with this story. You mean to tell me that there was a rape cult going on and involving a bunch of teenagers, and one of the most glaring details about this little rape cult is that in some weird vortex of time and space, this particular group of teenagers were the one group of teenagers on the planet who were good at keeping their mouths shut and keeping secrets from their parents, their authorities, their religious organization. Nobody said anything to anyone at any time. And these people, Alyssa Milano and all these actresses and whatever, say you have no questions about any of that. You have no questions about any of that. What's her name? Mrs. Blasey-Ford. Oh yeah, I got raped in 1983. Brett Kavanaugh pulled his dick out and showed it to me. I was, not raped, but, sexual assault. I was sexually assaulted. Okay. All right, well, where are your witnesses? Oh, I only have 2 of them. Check that. Now I have 4 of them. Okay, well, who are they? Well, they're it was Mike Judge, Brett Kavanaugh, and these 2 other people. Okay, so let's go talk to those other 2 people. And both of those people say, I have no idea what Miss Ford is talking about. Nothing to see here, Alyssa Milano? Like, nothing, you have no questions. You have no questions about any of that stuff. And furthermore, then we have what's that lady from New York? I think she's a congressman. She's going on television and saying, no, Brett Kavanaugh has to prove his innocence. He is guilty until he proves himself innocent. Because we are not in a court of law. She said that. An elected official to the United States Congress, or perhaps she's a senator. I don't have it in front of me, but it's like she's one of those two. A congressperson or a senator. She gets on television and says, well, because there has been no actual crime that has been charged, he doesn't have any right to due process. Wow. This is the dirty, dirty underbelly. This is what we have to cure in our politics. This is insanity, what we're seeing here. if this was an episode of Law and Order SVU, it's like this episode would take 4 minutes. Benson, there's nothing to see here. You're talking about a crime that I had a back waxing appointment. You pulled me to this crime scene that allegedly happened in 1983, and there's no corroborating evidence. There are no witnesses, and this lady has crazy ties to Peter Strzok and Fusion GPS and the Clinton administration, and she hates Trump, and we've got pictures of her expressing her hatred for Trump. There's nothing to see here. Gonk, gonk. Gonk, gonk. Speaking of gonk, gonk, I had a letter from a listener, and I'm going to read it to you because that's what we do here. You write me emails, and I read them on the air. And listen to me on the air like a regular radio host. Going to read this to you because it made me happy, so I'm going to read it. Oh, here it is. Hold on. This is from listener Bryce. And I need to read this because it's important. He brought something up to my attention. I didn't know that was happening, so I'm going to read it. It says, "Hey, Pete, your friendly neighborhood ghost creep here." Oh, well done, Bryce. Ghost creep Bryce. Thank you for chiming in. He says, and this is the very second sentence. I want you to listen to this. He says, "Telegram link continues to tell me that this user doesn't seem to exist. My name on Telegram is Bryce. Not sure where you or I take it from there." Okay, listen, I didn't realize that this was going on. Evidently, I did not put the right information, on my website. Like, I have to build out all those links and all that stuff. So to everybody that has been trying to, because I've been, putting a bit of pressure on all the listeners, like, dude, if you haven't joined the Telegram group, come on, man, join the Telegram group and get in the conversation. Bryce brings this up to me. I go to my website and I click on the link, and guess what it says? This user doesn't seem to exist. So to everybody, I am sorry, all right? I'm not very smart when it comes to, this sort of thing. But I will be dedicating this afternoon to fixing that. Bryce, thank you so much for bringing that to my attention. Did not know that was happening. So anyways, I'm going to start over again. Hey, Pete, your friendly neighborhood ghost creep here. Telegram link continues to tell me this user doesn't exist. Not sure where we take it from here. Said, "I would love to join the conversation you speak about on Telegram. I always have questions and little rebuts. I would also like to donate again. Oh, money! Or actually specifically kick in the donation up and sponsor a episode topic if you're up for it." Yes, I am, actually. Yes, I am. "I would love to say a lot in this message, but I won't." I'm not a big message writer either. Says 9 months and 5 to 6 days a week, each about an hour. Wait a minute. 9 months and 5 or 6 days a week, each about an hour. "I have a lot of questions." Sorry, Bryce, I didn't understand how that fit into the conversation. "I have a lot of questions. I appreciate your podcast and still ask myself why I listen to you like I do. Not in a negative way. I'm also very anti-religion. Thought I might just put that info in there. Seems like you enjoy knowing the atheists." Yeah, I do. He says, "But I wouldn't call myself that either. Last important note I have to get in. Why did you stop using the clonk clonk line?" It goes well when you're 100% correct. Cheers. Listen, if you want to, and this is anybody, because Bryce, like I think I get a sense of what you're saying as far as, the way you feel about religion, but at the same time not really calling yourself an atheist and all that. I think that I would have to say that, like, most people probably, if they had to identify themselves as one thing or another, they would probably say, well, I'm kind of in that middle ground. I'm not really, there's too much stuff in the world that is unexplainable. There's too many questions that we don't have answered, and furthermore, like, I find less and less that that people have a tolerance for other people who say they have absolutes when it's like, dude, there's no way you can know that absolutely. You know what I mean? It's like for example, like I love Neil deGrasse Tyson, right? I don't love everything he says, but like, you know, the majority of his body of work, like I enjoy it. Like he is an educator. He is somebody who is trying very hard, very desperately to get people interested in astrophysics because it's fascinating. It is fascinating. I love the universe, man. The universe is trippy as balls, dude. You know, but it's like if Neil deGrasse Tyson went on TV and said like, oh, well, I know how many stars there are in the universe, it would be like, dude, no, you don't. No, you don't. We don't have that information. You know what I mean? We have not created the tools and the devices necessary to figure out how big the universe is, how many galaxies are in it, how many stars are in those galaxies, and so on and so forth. We just don't know. We don't know, and it's all right to not know. It's not all right to say, well, I don't know, and therefore I'm going to stop seeking. It's like, no, I mean, you know, there is a middle ground there. It's called, I don't know, but, you know, as time goes on, we're going to find out more stuff. I'm not going to become an astrophysicist. Neil deGrasse Tyson seems to be doing a good enough job as he is. You know what I mean? And the same thing comes with, like, religion and being a theist versus an anti-theist. Or, you know what I mean, or whatever. It's, you know, like, dude, there's a lot of questions. People have a lot of questions. And as long as as long as you continue to ask those questions, I don't care what you call yourself. It doesn't matter to me. Nothing shocks me. I'm aware that there are people in this world called atheists, right? So it doesn't offend me when I meet them. What does offend me was when people get all, like, militant about it. Like, oh, I'm an atheist. It's like, well, good for you. I don't give a shit what you do with your life. I don't care what, you know what I mean? Oh, you know, like they get all like angry and even violent. It's like, dude, I don't care what you think. You can do whatever. It's your life, bro. You can do whatever you want with it. And whatever you do, it is none of my damn business. Right? And what I do with my life is none of yours. Now, if you want to be friends, right? Hang out. Have a conversation. I would love to do that. Like, if you want to take the things that I say and rebut them, please do. I love that. Matter of fact, I was telling you guys, I'm going to have, you know, a friend of mine who is a Calvinist. We argue all the time. Like, we agree on very little when it comes to Scripture. But we're best friends. Why? Because it's like, because those conversations are rich. They're enjoyable. You know what I mean? Because it's like, oh, you have a completely different point of view. It's like getting broadsided by thought. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, weird. I've never heard that theory before. You know what I mean? Like it's the whole point. So yes, Bryce, by all means, if you would like to come on the show, it is simply a matter of figuring out what time zone you're in and what works for the both of us. Other than that, no problem. And that goes for anybody. Anybody. You want to come on the show and have a friendly argument, have a debate, have whatever, or whatever word you want to use, please. There are a few things in life that I enjoy more than that. I like hearing what other people think, why they think it. You know, it's like one thing that I started noticing and I found kind of fascinating is like you take Christianity, for example, is 2,000 years old. Judaism is about 3,500 years old if you take it from the point of when Moses wrote the law. Right? I mean, obviously there was prior to that going back to Abraham, but as far as Judaism as a written religion, as like a prescribed, like, okay, here's our book and here's what we believe and that sort of thing, it's 3,500 years. Christianity is 2,000 years old and Islam is 1,300 years old, right? So all three of those are very old. And there are huge gaps of time between all three of those, right? So you take like Islam and Christianity, it's like, you know, a Muslim guy would say, well, you know, it's offensive to me that, that you Christians say that Jesus Christ is the Son of God, because in the Quran, the very first line of it is basically God has no son. It says, God was created, God was not begotten, nor does God beget, right? So the very first line of the Quran is saying, God has no son, right? And Muslims can get very offended by that Christians believe that, and Christians can get very offended by the fact that that's what Muslims believe. But the funny thing in there, like the comedy of it all, is that it's like, dude, like if you're a Muslim, like you people have known for 1,300 years what it is that the Christian people believe. You've known it the entire time. Why does this still offend you? Why do you still get all emotional about this? You've known this about the Christian people the entire time. And you're acting like you just found out 2 seconds ago. And you're all offended by it. Right? The Jews do not believe that Jesus Christ was the Messiah. But the Jews know that this is what the Christian people believe. The Christians believe that Jesus Christ was in fact the Messiah. Are you going to get offended by it? Like, you've known this for 2,000 years. The Jewish people have known what the Christian people believe for 2,000 years. Why would you get offended by that? Like, Christians get offended that the Jews don't believe that Jesus was the Messiah. It's like, hey, Christian, you've known that for 2,000 years. Why are you getting all butthurt over this? It's ridiculous. Like, people get very emotional about very bizarre things. Like, to me, when you look at it, it's like, that's bizarre that you're getting upset about it. That's like if you found out like the earth was round, and then you know what I mean? Because like, back in the day, before people were able to figure out that the earth was round, it was like, some guy came along, I think it was Magellan, somebody came along and said, no, I figured this out, the earth is round. And they threw him in prison. By the way, I've actually been to that prison. They threw him in prison for a certain amount of time, a long time. And, hundreds of years went by. And, later on we were able to launch devices out into outer space and take pictures of the earth from there. And it's like, yep, okay, sure enough, here's proof. It would be like if somebody, like, just recently... Or like if somebody was born into Catholicism, for example, and they were born, they were raised, they grew up, and then they went off to college and they found out that like the rest of the world believed that the earth was round, and this whole time he thought it was flat. And he got all upset about it. It's like, okay, well, if you got upset initially, that would be understandable. But after a certain amount of time, you'd have to believe no, like we've known that the earth was round for about 700 years now or something like that, however long it was. Like, we've known for a long time. So if this still upsets you, you should probably keep that to yourself, because by you getting upset about this, you're going to look like a weakling. You're going to look like somebody who gets upset very easily, and that's weakness. That's a weakness when you get upset by things that everybody knows. You know what I mean? So, when people, like, when atheists come to me and they want to talk, it's like, great. I don't get upset. Like, I am aware that there are people in this world called atheists, and I know what they believe. I've known what they believe for a long time. I know that atheists have existed for a lot longer than I have. You can find atheists like all the way back through in history, like they're everywhere. It doesn't shock me. You know what I mean? There's nothing that an atheist can say to me that's going to be shocking. It's like, yeah, I know what you believe. You know what I mean? It's cool. You can believe whatever you want to believe. I'm not responsible for you, right? Someday I'm going to die, and I believe that my energy or my spirit or whatever it is however it is that you conceptualize it, like, I believe that energy is going to go someplace and is going to be held against a mirror of all of the wisdom and knowledge of the universe, and I'm going to be measured against that. I'm going to be judged based on how I lived my life. And therefore, how my life goes is of supreme importance to me. How I treat my wife, how I raise my children, how I treat strangers and people around me and my family and that sort of thing. I'm going to be judged on all those things. And let me tell you something. If I died right now, like, I would have a lot of answering to do. I have a lot of development that I have to go through. I have a lot of character to build. You know what I mean? Like, I am not a complete human being. I have a long way to go. And because I know that about myself, guess what? I know that about you, whoever you are. I know that about humanity. We all have a long way to go. So, to all the listeners, particularly, I'm interested in hanging out with you, Bryce, on the show, but it's like, to all of you people, like, I will have a conversation about anything. Whether it be your position versus mine, whether it be, like, if I said something stupid on this podcast and you want to rebut it, please do. I told you guys before, like if I haven't said something stupid already, then it's coming. You know, like, it's like in baseball. I remember one time Derek Jeter, you know, the old captain of the New York Yankees, he was on a 23 at-bats where he failed to get on base. That's 23 bats. So what is that? You know, 3 at-bats per game. So, you know, 23. So that's 7. That's like 8 games. For 8 games, which is like 9 days. That's a week and a half. For a week and a half, this guy didn't get on base once. And he's Derek Jeter. He's the highest paid. He's certainly, well, he may not, I think the shortstop was actually paid higher, but he was the most, like, the captain of the New York Yankees is like the highest position you can be in Major League Baseball, because the Yankees don't always have a captain. I don't know if you know this. It's year to year, they don't always have a team captain. It is a huge honor to be captain, and Derek Jeter was the captain of that team, and he had not been on base for a week and a half, and that's huge. That's a long time. So it's like, after 23 games, you would think, like, it'd be pretty safe to put some money on the idea that he's going to get on base today, because it's been so long. Well, that's kind of how it is with me and saying stupid stuff. I've been podcasting now for almost a year. If I haven't said anything stupid by now, I would be shocked. And if that is the truth, then boy, it's gonna happen any day now. Right? Stupid things. Speaking of saying stupid things, I went to a party where there was a rape cartel in progress, and then they invited me back, and I RSVP'd 9 different times. That's stupid. That is not believable. Notice I didn't say unbelievable, because, like, unbelievable is like, you know, like, man, you know, I saw this movie, it was really good, or I went to Canada and watched the Aurora Borealis, man, it was unbelievable. You know what I mean? Like, you can use the word unbelievable in a different context. No, her story is not believable. It is outside of the realm of believableness. 10 different, this is Avenatti's client, by the way. Avenatti, who is literally referred to as creepy porn lawyer. That guy marches out this lady who says, I went to a rape party where everybody was raping, and I went back 9 more times. I attended a total of 10 rape parties where Judge and Kavanaugh were the kingpins of this rape cartel. And I have no idea why I've waited for 37 years to finally bring this to light. Oh, I might be able to submit a theory on that. And I'm going to go with, it's because you're full of shit, lady. You want your 15 minutes of fame so bad that you are willing to perjure yourself. This is, it's insanity. And Mrs. What's her name? Blasey-Ford, Christine Blasey-Ford. I love it that her middle name is literally Blase. Blase, right? And she says, "Well, I was assaulted by Brett Kavanaugh." Okay, that sounds horrible. When did this happen? Oh, I don't know. Okay, where did this happen? Oh, I don't know. Okay, is there anybody who saw it? Oh yeah, it was just these two people. Who are those people? Oh, Brett Kavanaugh and I think it's Mike Judge, something Judge. Okay, all right. Well, obviously Kavanaugh says he didn't do it. Mr. Judge over there says he has no idea what you're talking about. Is there anybody else? Oh yeah, by the way, I just remembered there were two other people. Okay, what are their names? And we go and we talk to those people, and they're like, I have no idea what Miss Ford is talking about. I have no idea what she's talking about. I'm not saying no. I'm not saying yes. I'm saying I have no idea what she's talking about. Right? Oh, she has a. Get this just gets more. This is like, if Law and Order SVU like had this as a story, they would have shut the show down. They would have been like, okay, your writing staff has evidently reached the bottom of the barrel. This lady says, oh, I took a polygraph test. Okay, well, number one, there is a reason why polygraph tests are not allowed in court as evidence. There's a very good reason for that. But it's like, okay, so you took a polygraph test, and then it turns out it's like, okay, well, let's see the results of the polygraph test. Well, as it turns out, this polygraph test was administered by my lawyer, who is, a Democrat political activist. Oh, okay. And there was rumors today that, on this polygraph test, she was only asked like 2 questions. I mean, this is really getting into the land of like stupid, but none of that was actually where I wanted to go with this particular episode of the show. Actually, where I wanted to go was, what do you think is going to happen from, like, I want to know what's going through the Democrats' process right now. Because whenever I see stupidity, whenever I see people shooting themselves in the foot, I always ask, like, well, are you unable to, do math like on a projection, like calculus, right? Calculus is like, I have a friend of mine who owns a brewery, a very successful brewery called Device Brewing in Sacramento. And he is a former architect. He used to build bridges all over the world. So he's a crazy math guy, right? Like, he's really good at math. He's a scientist. He was offered a PhD and turned it down, because he was like, oh, I got it all figured out. I'm going to go build bridges. But then he decided to get into beer. But he's really good at teaching math. And he was telling me one time, like one of the ways that he teaches calculus is like he'll take his student, because he does tutoring, or he did back then when he was in college, and he'd say, like, some kid, somebody's parents came to him and said, look, we want you to teach our son calculus. And he was like a teenager. So he started talking to the kid, and he found out like what the kid was interested in. And the kid was mostly interested in skateboarding. He said, okay, well, this is what calculus is. Like, just imagine going down a hill on a skateboard on a sidewalk, and, here's the grade of the hill, and therefore, like, this is how fast you're going to be going, and this is how much pressure you're going to have to put on the skateboard, because, don't look now, there's a curve in the sidewalk, and you're going to have to apply a certain amount of pressure, and we can gauge all these things using mathematics. And he said that, like, once he could establish with the kid, like, that calculus is everywhere, then the kid would be like, oh, okay, so just like skateboarding. And he'd go, yes, just like skateboarding. And then the kid would become a little sponge for calculus. They just ate it up. It's the same thing, like predicting the future. It's not all that metaphysical. It's calculus. You know what I mean? Like, if you drink a bottle of Jack Daniels every single day, your liver is going to quit on you. That's, you know what I mean? Like, we can see, like, okay, what's going to happen if I keep drinking a fifth of Jack Daniels every day? Well, you're going to die, and it's going to be very painful because your liver is going to give out on you, and it's going to be very, very, very painful, and you're going to get hepatitis, and you're going to get jaundiced, and it's going to be very bad. Like, we can predict these things. Like, oh, I want to be a rich guy, and so what I'm going to do is I'm going to lie to investors, and I'm going to cheat, and I'm going to do this, and I'm going to screw over my business partners and associates. It's like, okay, well, I can tell you exactly how your life is going to go. This is easy. You know what I mean? Like, if that's your plan, like, I can see where this is going to go. How is it that it's like, so the Russian collusion thing didn't work out for you. It's been a year and a half, and Mueller has yet to level a single accusation against Donald Trump or his family. Not a single accusation. And now liberals will say, oh, but what about all these people that, you know, because of this investigation have pled guilty to all these felonies? Not a single one of those felonies have anything to do with Russia or collusion or voter manipulation or anything. Not a single one of those felonies. Nothing. And that didn't work. So, and we've, the American people, we've let you continue. We've let you continue burning through taxpayer dollars, trying to find out if Donald Trump has committed a crime. Even though you have absolutely no evidence or any reason to believe that he did. Okay, well, just keep looking. What's next? Stormy Daniels. Oh, Donald Trump had sex with a porn star. Okay, well, we all knew that Donald Trump is a poon hound. We all knew that. Even Christian evangelicals like me. I knew long before Donald Trump announced that he was going to run for president. We all knew long before that one real estate mogul, Donald J. Trump, turned, reality television star, we all knew that he loves to crush ass. As a matter of fact, he bought the Miss America pageant so that he could have a stable of, young girls. We all saw it happen. And when we saw that happen, we all said, yep, that's Donald Trump, man. He loves the ladies. So they marched out Stormy Daniels, and America just shrugged their shoulders and said, meh, yeah, that sounds about right. Next. And then what? Donald Trump was going to start a war with North Korea. Oh, we gotta get him impeached before he starts a war. Next thing you know, North Korea is at the table of reason. And on and on and on and on. And at every single turn, the Democrats will take, the tax cuts come out, and they say, well, this isn't enough for the American people. This is just crumbs. And all of a sudden, the economy starts kicking ass. Jobless claims go down. People are getting back to work, and all this other stuff. And they say, oh, it's all fake. It's all going to crumble, right? And then what do? After they're done fear-mongering, oh, they come out and they send the last guy, Barack Hussein Obama. They send him out to say, oh, no, all that success, that's all actually attributed to me. It's like, well, wait a minute, you just said that all of this economic growth is a bad thing, that it's not what it seems, that it's actually, destroying America. And now you want to come out after you just got done saying that and saying that, oh no, actually, all this good stuff, it's because of me. You have a consistency problem, Democrats. Not to mention that the DNC itself is dead broke. Not to mention that you've lost how many legislator seats in the last 8 years? Not to mention you're losing Congress people and governors left and right, and we're about to find out how many Senate seats you're about to lose. At every single turn, these people, they just hate anything that is successful for the American people. because all of that success is being attributed to somebody that they believe is their enemy. They want to screw the American people so bad just so that their political rival doesn't have a good light cast upon him. So you're willing to screw my life up, right? I'm over here trying to raise kids. I don't have very much money. I would like to have some more money. And therefore, I would really appreciate it if the environment in which I'm trying to make money is ripe for me to go in and pick as much fruit as I can get so that I can raise my kids and make sure that they're educated. You know what I mean? I want there to be a rich, fertile, open market for myself to participate in and for my children to participate in so that they can continue in this tradition of getting married and having babies and enjoying life and all this stuff. And you people, these Democrats, want to take that away from me because they don't want the credit going to their opponent. That is selfish. That is on a demonic level. And then finally, Brett Kavanaugh is going to get confirmed. We went through the Senate hearings. The Democrats made an ass of themselves. Cory Booker's up there talking about, I am Spartacus, in a Senate hearing. I'm Spartacus. I'm Spartacus. You're going to act like a little bitch like that in front of the whole nation during a Senate confirmation, and then it wasn't enough. It wasn't enough. And the day before Kavanaugh is about to get confirmed, the vote's going to go in. Kavanaugh's definitely going to get confirmed. You are going on record. The Democrats are going on record as having made a complete ass of themselves during the proceedings. Everybody saw what the Democrats were doing, and even Democrats are like, man, you guys are really... Cory Booker, man, you're an ass. You're making an ass. Are you drunk? Did you drink before this meeting? I am Spartacus? That's what you had to say in a Senate confirmation hearing. You dick. And this is what the Democrats are, they're going to go on record as having been complete assholes. And so what do they do with their loss? Just moments before Kavanaugh gets sworn in, they say, oh, by the way, sorry I didn't bring this up during the Senate confirmation hearings, but actually this guy's a rapist. Oh, have we seen this strategy before? Has this ever happened before? Clarence Thomas, Senator Bork, Judge Bork. Bjork or Bork? We've seen this out of the Democrats before. And so my question is like, how do you people, like every time you do that, you lose power because people are actually quite sensible. People can see what you're doing and they don't like it. So I look at these people and it's just like, okay, even if you keep that seat vacant until, after November 6th, you're still going to go down in history as the little bitches, the people who use bitch moves to try to maintain your power. That you'll do anything. You will literally screw the entire nation just so that you don't look stupid, just so that your failure isn't exposed. Well, dude, there's 340 million of us, and I can assure you that 340 million, we are more important than you, Dianne Feinstein, than you, Cory Booker, than you, creepy porn lawyer. The 340 million of us are more important than your ego. And we don't appreciate you jerking the U.S. around like this, and you're going to pay. Like you have been paying already. You want to know why you lost all those seats in the legislature? It's because you people went on TV and said, you don't need to read about the Affordable Health Care Act. Just vote it in and then you can read it. It's that kind of thing. That's why you're losing. That's why the DNC is dead broke. That's why you don't have anybody in the legislature anymore. That's why you're losing congressional seats and you're about to lose Senate seats. That's why. And it's going to get worse for those people, and then they're fine. This is just the unthinkable. Like the most bizarre thing ever is like one of their last Hail Marys is let's trot out a bunch of socialists. Ocasio-Cortez, and there's some new girl that she's like Hispanic or whatever. She's from New York too, but it's like, this is your answer? You want to try because you've been watching too much social media and you think that all the kids believe in socialism now just because all the kids that you can see believe in socialism. You believe that that's the mood in America, that we're all just waiting to become communists. That's your answer. To trot out these socialists. Wow. Wow. You know, it's just I'm just scratching my head like a monkey. Like, I don't know what to make of this. I don't know how people could be so stupid. I don't know how people have have no capacity to predict the future. Dude, it's just calculus. If you drink too much, your liver gives out. If you run your engine too fast, you're gonna blow a gasket. You know what I mean? For too fast for too long. Like if you know what I mean? If you're a liar, people will stop trusting you. Right? If you say ridiculous things all the time, I mean, because I say ridiculous things, but I do it in jest. But like if you say ridiculous things and pass it off as being serious all the time, people are going to stop taking you seriously. It's not, I'm no prophet. That's just math. Notably, it's calculus. It's real easy. Once you get the formula, like once you understand, like once you can put it into some sort of context that you can understand, it's like, oh no, this is actually really easy. Anyways, that's the show for today. Listen, everybody, if you have been attending rape parties and you can't figure out why you keep getting raped, I want you to stop RSVPing to the rape parties. Then you will probably stop being raped. I'm not a mathematician, but I think that formula is fairly secure. Don't go to rape parties, people. I think that's the big takeaway from today's episode. God bless you guys. If you want to support the show, go on to archadvocate.com, arch-advocate.com. Leave me a message. I'm working on the Telegram thing. Sorry about that. And I will talk to you tomorrow.